Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Hello and welcome to the program, The Law, the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television, a program that exists to bridge the gap between the people and the government. Well, on today's session of the program, we'll be talking about the issue of INEC seeking to reconfigure BVAS, of course, in preparations for the forthcoming governorship elections in Nigeria. What is your thoughts on this? This is what we're going to look at today. And this is to also inform you that the program is participatory, so you can be a part of the program. The phone line will be on the screen, so you can feel free to call us or send a WhatsApp or a text message. My name is Rachel David White. Welcome once again to the program. Well, INEC has asked the court, of course, the election petition court for permission to reconfigure the BVAS ahead of March 11, this Saturday's governorship polls, in order to be able to get everything it needs ready for the governorship polls. What is your thought on this? Meanwhile, Peter Obi had obtained the Court of Appeals permission to inspect the BVAS machines, which INEC used for the 25th general presidential elections. That was on February 25th. Also, the Court of Appeal Abuja on Tuesday fixed Wednesday, which is today, for ruling on a request by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, seeking a review of its orders permitting Peter Obi to inspect electoral materials used for the conduct of the presidential election. Obi was granted leave by the appellate court to inspect the bimodal voter accreditation system, that's the BVAS machines, and other sensitive materials that INEC deployed for the conduct of the 25th February polls. The court had restrained INEC from tampering with the BVAS machines, but INEC approached the appellate court to vary the orders. The electoral umpire explained that it needed to reconfigure the BVAS machines and redeploy them for this Saturday's March 11th governorship and state parliamentary elections. Now, at the resumption of the proceedings in the suit on Tuesday, a three-member panel of the Court of Appeal led by Joseph Ike slated Wednesday, 8th March, that's today, for ruling after taking arguments from lawyers to INEC and Mr. Obi. On the argument, INEC's lawyer Tanimo Inoa, a senior advocate of Nigeria, urged the court to review the earlier order to enable the electoral umpire reconfigure the BVAS machines for deployment to the over 1,000 polling units across Nigeria. No data or information will be lost, according to them, in the course of transferring data from the BVAS to the back-end server or cloud of INEC. That's according to him. He also argued that any delay in granting the application would delay the conduct of the Saturday state governorship and House of Assembly elections. But Mr. B's lawyer, Onyechi Ipazu, a senior advocate of Nigeria, disagreed with INEC. He said he contended that reconfiguring the BVAS would alter the data that had been stored on it from the presidential election and National Assembly election. He also begged the court to dismiss INEC's application. And also, in another development, the appellate court fixed today, I'd already told you, for hearing in a similar application filed by INEC concerning Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. And Atiku also secured the court's permission to also inspect the electoral materials that were used for the polls. The separate suit could not be heard on Tuesday because Atiku's lawyer needed time to respond to INEC's filing. Well, this is the background. In the two separate ex parte applications, Atiku and Mr. Obi, alongside their political parties, urged the court to compel INEC to allow them to obtain documents it used for the presidential election to aid their petitions against the outcome of the presidential election. Also, People's Democratic Party had alleged moves by the Independent National Electoral Commission to destroy evidence of its rigging of the February 25, 2023 presidential election. So the party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo, made the allegation at a press conference in Abuja. He said that was on Monday, that INEC, in a separate move to prevent their party and candidate from obtaining necessary evidence as ordered by the court, filed a motion requesting that it be allowed to reconfigure the relevant information that the party and the candidate required to prosecute their case at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Well, the whole issue now boils down to the court. What would the court say? Would they allow INEC, of course, to reconfigure BVAS? As their spokesperson has already said, it's not going to affect any information or data stored in the BVAS because it's going to be sent to their back-end server. Well, for, I would say, a body that was given a whole lot of responsibility and trust to, of course, deliver Nigeria, give Nigeria a credible, free and fair election to, of course, elect a new president into office. And for a body that had already told the people that they are sure of keeping to their words, giving the people assurances, words, and giving them hopes that things were going to turn out well. But the case became different, of course. We saw the just concluded presidential elections, what happened. We had so much pockets of irregularities here and there. Now, would you say that, would you agree that INEC should go ahead and reconfigure the BVAS for the Saturday governorship polls? And also the spokesperson for INEC has said that if INEC is not allowed to have access to BVAS, to reconfigure the BVAS on time, it might cause delay in the governorship elections. So what is your take on this? And also, don't forget that right now the court is sitting to, of course, hear Mr. Peter Obi, that's the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, out, as he claims that Labour Party won the election and, of course, APC rigged the election, or INEC was compromised to rig the election in favor of the APC to bring Bola Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu as the president-elect of Nigeria. So this is what we are looking at today. Feel free to call us. Of course, feel free to join a conversation by sending a text message or WhatsApp message or put a call across to us. Let's go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security,
education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyeken every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security,
education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Coburn and Uyai Aniakin
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
All right, welcome back. It's still the program, The Law, the People, and Governance here on Spectrum Television, already told you, a program that exists to bridge the gap between the people and, of course, the government, explains the government's policy to the people and gets feedback from the people back to the government. So today on the program, we're looking at INEC's request to reconfigure BVAS for Saturday's governorship election across Nigeria. Well, what is your thought on this? Do you think that for a body who had given us the awards and couldn't stand by the awards, they should be given an opportunity to reconfigure BVAS? Most people think that this is going to be an issue. It's going to help INEC delete the information needed for, of course, Peter Obi, needed for Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar to win their cases in court. They think that they are going to, of course, delete the evidences. Well, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room yesterday kicked against that as well. And, well, INEC spokesperson has said that this is not true, that of course they are going to send all the data on the BVAS to their back-end server, so the information or the data needed is going to stay intact. And also told you that People's Democratic Party has alleged moves by the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to destroy evidence of its rigging of the February 25th 2023 presidential elections. Now, the party's national publicity secretary in the person of Honorable Debo Ologunagba made the allegation at a press conference in Abuja yesterday. On Monday rather. He said that in a desperate move rather to prevent their party and candidate from obtaining necessary evidence as ordered by the court. He filed a motion requesting that it be allowed to reconfigure the BVAS machine and wipe out relevant information that their party and candidate require to prosecute their case at the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. According to him, the reprehensible action by INEC to frustrate the desire of Nigerians to get redressed through the court is a clear recipe for crisis and a deliberate designed by the Commission to derail their democracy and trigger anarchy in the country. And he said Nigerians can recall that INEC chairman, that's Mahmoud Yakubu, superintendent over the manipulations of the result of the presidential election and hurriedly announced the winner in spite of widespread outrage and complaint over numerous evidences of malpractices and violation of several provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 by INEC and its officials. Well, of course, you can remember that INEC had given us their awards. They didn't follow the guidelines, the Electoral Act as well. Well, he said that the INEC chairman bypassed all the steps and procedures provided by the Electoral Act. Laws they even made themselves were not followed. And they went ahead to declare the result, including to announce and declare only results that were transmitted directly from the polling units to the INEC server and website, and to review the result in the event of dispute and objections as to the correctness and consistencies of the collated result. Well, counsel to INEC has warned that failure to reconfigure the BVAS would delay the conduct of governorship and houses of assembly elections. According to them, they have already stated in their affidavit that they will transfer all the data in the BVAS to their back-end server. And this still brings a big question. Can they be believed? Can we say INEC will keep to their words that truly they are going to send the election results to their back-end server? Can we say that, oh, INEC should go ahead, the court should go ahead and grant them the permission to do so? Also, the appeal court in Abuja has granted the president-elect Bola Tinubu access to inspect electoral materials, which he asked for, used by the Independent National Electoral Commission during February 25th, 2022 general elections. I'm going to tell you much about that particular story. Well, there seems to be a whole lot of confusion here. Nigerians feel, I won't say all Nigerians, but a greater number of Nigerians feel that the president-elect in the person of Bola Asiwaju was forced on Nigerians, and that is not the choice they made. So it looks like Bola is going to court, Obi is in court, Atiku is in court. I think Kwankwaso is the only person that is not really taking this as a serious issue. But in a case where INEC declares, or the court finally declares Asiwaju the president-elect, what will happen? What is the fate of Nigerians when they had already stated clearly that this is not the result they had? Of course, we had so many irregularities in the forthcoming elections. We had so many reports. We had so many footages of a whole lot of irregularities here and there. And INEC went ahead to announce that a result without waiting to at least address these issues before announcing the winner of that particular poll. And this has caused a whole lot of chaos. Right now, the Labour Party presidential candidate in the person of Peter Obi is currently in court for a hearing of his case. And Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, has put together a legal team of over 19 senior advocates of Nigeria to challenge the outcome of the February 25th election. All right, so, well, he briefed them on at his campaign headquarters in Abuja, asking them to establish the claim of illegality in the election and reclaim the mandate of the people. And the team is headed by a seasoned litigation and commercial lawyer, J.K. Gadzama. He declared that it is crucial for them to go through the process, not just for himself and PDP, but also to reinforce constitutional democracy and safeguard it for future generations. The question we should even ask ourselves is Nigeria operating a democratic government? If we want to check through the past histories and through the happenings that has happened in recent days, would you say Nigeria is operating a democratic government? That's another big question for Nigerians to answer. Meanwhile, we're being joined virtually by Barrister Martins Upe. Is going to be talking to us via audio call, so to address this particular issue. What is your take on this issue? Should INEC be allowed to reconfigure BVAS? Should INEC be trusted? Of course, their counsel has said that we will safeguard every data, every information on BVAS, so it wouldn't be tampered with. And also PDP has already alerted that this is another way for them to tamper with the evidences they need to win the case in court. Well, let's get to know your take on these issues. Feel free to call the phone number displayed on your screen, send us a text message or a WhatsApp message. Let's get over to our guest, Barrister Martins Upe, a human rights lawyer. Hello, welcome, Barrister.
Hello, Rachel. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Barrister. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
Okay, Barrister, without wasting much time, let's get to the main business of the day. Well, of course, you are aware that right now the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the person of Peter Obi is currently in court, of course, to listen to what the court has to say. And he had already asked that, prayed the court to permit him go through the election materials that was used to conduct the presidential election. And PDP did that as well. Also, the APC candidates, the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, asked for the same thing. And suddenly, INEC is coming up with an excuse that, of course, it is a strong one, that they need to reconfigure the BVAS to use it for the governorship election, which is just a few days away from now. What is your take on this issue, owing to the fact that this is the same body that we entrusted, Nigerians entrusted a whole lot of hope and trust on to deliver a free, fair and credible election that shouldn't have landed us in court, and which happened the other way round. So they are coming back to ask Nigerians, or the court rather, of course the court still needs to listen to Nigerians as well, for permission to reconfigure BVAS ahead of the gubernatorial polls. And council, or their council, INEC's council, has said that if they fail to allow INEC reconfigure BVAS, it might cause delay or even postpone the coming gubernatorial polls, which happens on Saturday. What is your take on this?
Very well. My take is very simple here. First and foremost, INEC conducted an election that received widespread criticisms across Nigeria and even in the international communities. This is an election that has been widely criticized by Nigerians, by the international communities, election monitoring team, civil liberty organizations, even religious groups. And as such, it is very evidential that INEC conducted a severely mad election, an election that does not word the literal meaning of the word election in its definition. And as such, we trusted INEC to have delivered a very free and fair process. Now, INEC couldn't deliver. Why should Nigerians trust INEC again, to the extent of the court allowing INEC to reconfigure the BVAS machines for the 11th March elections? First, I see it as an attempt to wipe out all the evidence and the evidences at the disposal of the opposition parties who have already taken the matter to the court. In fact, for me, it is a height of insensitivity on the part of INEC. That attempt to wipe out and reconfigure BVAS is an attempt to offend the sensibilities of Nigerians. That is the only evidence that the opposition parties have at their disposal to table their facts, to marshal out their facts before the court of law. If INEC is allowed through the application made to the court to configure the BVAS, where and how will the opposition parties generate their evidence to table their matter before the court? And as such, I feel that the court should decline that application. There is no basis, because first and foremost, INEC didn't put in their rules that they were going to configure the BVAS. Secondly, trying to configure the BVAS, for me, it is not in any way related to 11th March election, because before the election, they had already done the configuration for the 2 days election. Now, if it will take INEC to postpone the 11th March governorship and state houses of assembly election, let it be so that we can get things right in this country for the first time. Now, the only hope of Nigerians who massively defied the sun, defied the rain. In some states, I saw the rain was falling heavily to go and cast their vote. Now their last hope is in the court, for the court to do justice. And as such, if INEC is allowed to wipe out the evidence, the enormous evidence that the opposition parties hope to present before the court, what do you think will happen? I really want to thank Nigerians for not taking to the street. Now their only hope is on the court to do justice to this. So the court, I believe, will not be very insensitive to the plight and the yearnings of Nigerians by granting INEC that application to wipe out what happened on 25th February and reconfigure BVAS according to them to be used for the governorship and state house of assembly elections. Okay. That's my take.
Okay. Well, the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room yesterday, Tuesday, kicked against the decision of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to actually reconfigure the bimodal voter accreditation system, that's the BVAS, it used for the just concluded presidential polls. And the Situation Room is a coalition of 70 civil society organizations working in support of credible and transparent elections. Now, should the court have any reason to ask INEC to reconfigure the bimodal voter accreditation system, the BVAS, for the upcoming governorship polls? Now, at that point, what is the fate of Nigerians? Because we can't go against the court's ruling if it says so.
Okay, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Like we have always said in the court, the lawyer, we always say as the court pleases. If the court goes ahead to grant INEC that application for them to reconfigure the BVAS, well, Nigerians will have no other choice. But it will save Nigerians that their last hope, which is the judiciary, has been tampered with. And in that state, Nigerians might actually lose their final hope in seeking for justice in the judiciary. When it happens that way, Nigerians might end up seeking for justice in a jungle way from the other way around, which might not augur well with our country as a nation. But hopefully, I believe the court will not go ahead to grant such obnoxious application, because it is not in the interest of Nigerians. It is not in the interest of justice, and the court shouldn't have any reasons to grant that application.
Okay, well, we've just had reports that the appeal court has granted the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the person of Peter Obi the permission to go ahead and, of course, access those sensitive materials and the BVAS that were used for the just concluded presidential polls. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. The appeal court, sitting as the Presidential Election Tribunal, has granted both the PDP and the Labour Party that application made to the court for them to inspect the BVAS and other sensitive material that was used for the elections. But I think the APC has also approached the same court, asking them to also grant them the application for them to also inspect. But I doubt and I wonder of any use, of what use will it be for a party that has been declared already by INEC as a winner, that are also seeking to go through the BVAS and other sensitive material that was used for the election.
Okay. Sorry, let's get back to that particular message again. I think the appeal court was sorry for that misinformation. The appeal court has rejected Peter Obi's request to stop INEC rather from reconfiguring BVAS. Now, I'll just take the whole story. The Court of Appeal Abuja today turned down the request of the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, and seeking to stop the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to reconfigure the BVAS equipment used for the conduct of the February presidential polls. So the court held that granting the request would jeopardize the electoral body in the conduct of March 11th election and the state houses of assembly. So the court agreed with INEC that information and, of course, accreditation contained in the BVAS should be uploaded into the back-end saver and could be accessed at any time. The appellate court predicted its agreement with INEC on the ground that all averment in the counter affidavit of the electoral body were not challenged. It said the court that granting the request of the B of the Labour Party would tie down the hand of INEC in the conduct of Saturday's election. So it held that the claims of INEC that information on the BVAS devices cannot be tampered with during uploading was not attacked by OB and as such deemed authentic. Hello? Hello? Okay, I think we lost that. So we just had that, of course, the court, something which we were thinking and praying it shouldn't, or Nigerians were praying it shouldn't be so. Of course, we just had a guess when we had that last question, asked what would be the fate of Nigerians if the court grants INEC the permission to go ahead and reconfigure the BVAS ahead of the gubernatorial polls. And that has actually been the case. The court has granted INEC the permission to, of course, wipe out all the data on the BVAS and, of course, upload it at their back-end server. The question now is, what is the possibility that this information will not be tampered with? Who are those that are going to monitor that process to make sure that it goes on free and fair, unlike the elections? So for a body who Nigerians do not trust any longer to save credibility, to be given such grants by the court, of course, I think this is something to worry about, something Nigerians should actually worry about. And, well, the question still remains, who are those being put in place to monitor that process to ensure that informations will not be tampered with? That is another strong question. Let's see how we could try and reconnect back to our guest, Barrister Martin, so he can talk about this. Hello, Barrister. Hello, Barrister. All right, so coming back to you, feel free to put a call across to us. Feel free to send us a text message or a WhatsApp message. Let's talk about this issue. What is your take on this? INEC has just been granted permission to, of course, reconfigure the BVAS for Saturday's governorship polls across Nigeria. And this may have a whole lot to do with the information saved on that BVAS, information needed by the PDP and the Labour Party, of course, to win their cases. And INEC has, don't forget that INEC has promised that information, data needed to, of course, carry on the whole case will be forwarded to their back-end server where it will not be tampered with. Let's take a call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mike. I'm calling from Kano.
All right, go ahead.
Can you hear me clear?
Yeah, we can hear you. What is your take on the issue?
It is quite unfortunate that we lost everything in this election, despite the stress of everybody. If court could happen to grant INEC this request, automatically the poor man or the victim of the masses will be lost completely.
Should we rather, of course, since this is away from INEC, is now on the court as well, so we could actually hold the judiciary arm of the government responsible, should we say, let's put our trust in them this time?
No, the court is the court of all common man.
Yes.
Now, since they cannot protect the common people, automatically there is nowhere to run to. Now, if court refuse Peter Obi or whoever to check the material of the INEC used in the 25th February presidential election, automatically they deny every Nigerian the right to vote in the next election, and they disenfranchise morally and physically every Nigerian. They disenfranchise everybody, and those who vote believe that yes, their vote never counts, and that is the fear of everybody. That many people refuse to vote or to go out for any polling unit in any election. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. So if courts go ahead and grant INEC that request, automatically the hope of all common man in this country are lost. Just as Barrister Martin said. So court is the hope of all common man. I don't know if you are with me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay. So please, if the court have never done that, they should stop.
Okay, I think we lost that.
That is not me.
Okay.
Yes, that is my take.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for contributing to the show. Feel free to call us. The phone number is on your screen, 0704-541-7707. Put a call across to us or send us a WhatsApp or a text message. Let's talk on the show. We'll take just one more call before we call it off. Hello, good evening. Good evening, welcome to the show. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Jamie coming from Lagos State.
What is your name?
I'm Jamie.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yes, my opinion is they need to allow the INEC to proceed. However, there is something that is very particular that we need to review, which is the issue of the media saying Nigerians are not happy.
Go ahead.
Are you with me?
Yeah, of course, we're listening.
So in the election, we will notice that there are about 4 major candidates, which means if this major candidate has their vote, whoever, whether rigged or not, whoever become the president will only get his vote from the minority, not the majority.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, when you divide the entire vote by 4, that will be 25%. So, whoever that has above that is likely to have, to emerge the winner. So, even when you emerge the winner, it doesn't mean that you already have the majority vote from the majority. But unlike when it is just 2 major candidates, that is when we'll be talking about Nigerians. But when we use the word Nigerians are not happy, it will be like we are siding that other people, the election is already fraud.
Of course you would
but
also agree with me. Are you listening?
I'm listening.
You talked about issue of media using Nigerians, right?
Yes.
Okay, of course you would agree with me that majority of Nigerians are not happy.
In English, it means majority of Nigerians.
Of course, majority of Nigerians. Of course, you can research that for yourself.
You said what?
You can find that out for yourself. Majority of Nigerians are clamoring for the case to be taken to court.
What you just said is correct, but I'm just making you to understand some points. The point is that whoever emerge as the president will definitely not get the vote from the majority. I don't really get the point.
Yeah, I understand you. Thank you so much for.
So, for instance, let's say we have 30% from Labour Party, 30% from APC, and we have like 40% from PDP. Can we say that 40%, if PDP emerges winner, can we now say the 40% is majority? It will never be the majority.
Go ahead.
You understand my point? So at that point, if we now say the majority of Nigerians are not, does not vote for the president, then we are right. However, we will have create an impression in the media that, oh, majority don't like the president-elect.
Okay, I really appreciate the fact that you still boil down to the fact that majority of Nigerians are not happy. So you know that for yourself. Well, thank you so much for joining the show. Hope to have you join us tomorrow for the show.
Oh, I wish you understand my point too, that majority cannot be the winner in this case because there are major opposition parties.
All right, thank you. I wish we could talk longer. Of course, I would argue on this case. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Hope to have you tomorrow. All right, thank you to all our callers. Thank you for those who called and we couldn't attend to the calls. Thank you to our guest who joined us. We're sorry he was cut off by network issues. Well, we're going to have a show again tomorrow, so we'll talk properly on this particular issue. My name is Rachel David White. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website spectrumtv.ng. Good evening.